Ooh, nice ammo rack, ST1. Nice ammo rack. But mine was a little bit better. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt 7, or another Tier 6 Premium Medium American tank that's been added into the game quite recently. And I haven't really been buying any premium tanks recently because I can't really afford to spend money on World of Tanks at the moment, but I made an exception. I made an exception for this one because it was a little bit different, and it was a little bit unusual. You see, I quite like the EZ8, even though I don't have one anymore, because I've got the Fury, which is another Tier 6 Premium American Medium, which is basically the EZ8, and I like the Sherman Jumbo, and this basically is a cross between the regular EZ8 in game, or the Fury, and the Sherman Jumbo. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit of a one-off. The EZ8 was a upgrade to the M4 Sherman that was developed from August 1944, so saw its first action in about March 1945. But basically what the Americans did with the EZ8 was they took the M4 Sherman and they up-armored it, made it a little bit bigger, gave it a bigger engine, improved the suspension, and armed it with a 76mm gun. Most of the M4s being built at that time came with 75mm, so they up-gunned, they up-armored, and they up-engined the tank, and basically, as I say, gave it new suspension, and that tank became known as the EZ8. There were other improvements as well, things like it came with a wet ammo rack as standard, which we have to buy separately in-game for some reason on the EZ8, but it did come with a wet ammo rack as standard. So the EZ8, there were about 4,500 of them manufactured between August 1944 and the end of the war, and you know, we've got two versions of the EZ8 in game already, in the Fury and the regular M4A3E8 in game. So why is the Thunderbolt a little bit different? Well, the Thunderbolt's a little bit different in that this is a one-off tank. This was the personal tank, or at least this model is designed after the personal tank driven by Lieutenant Colonel Creighton Abrams, who later became General Abrams, who was commander of the 37th Tank Battalion, and you know, had the Abrams tank named after him. But this was his personal baby, and it's a personal baby in that the upgrades on the tank go beyond what the normal EZ8 was upgraded to from the M4. They slapped basically a pile of armor. They slapped a bunch of spaced armor on the sides. You could see the spaced armor added here to both sides. They added spaced armor to the turret. You could see a strip of spaced armor around the front of the turret. None at the back, but basically the front of the turret has spaced armor, and the front of the hull has a huge amount of spaced armor. You can actually see the spaced armor plates being added to the front of the tank here, and that armored plate actually extends down across the upper glacis here, so you can see it comes right down here over the upper glacis, and that means that this tank with its spaced armor is exceptionally well armored compared to the regular EZ8. We can see that here on the model. So regular EZ8 roughly has about 63mm of armor all around, and this tank has significantly more. We can see all the spaced armor across the front has been added. Even though the spaced armor doesn't seem to be modeled in, it is represented in its armor values. So you can see that the front of this tank is actually up to about 155mm of effective armor, 150mm there or thereabouts on the upper glacis that's covered by spaced armor. You also have this strip of spaced armor coming down, covering slightly the upper glacis, but also some of the lower glacis, and that strip of armor gets it up to 180 millimeters of frontal armor. Incredibly good. Now you can shoot under this and it drops down to about 113, but this is going to be quite a small target to hit. So the spaced armor definitely makes the front of this tank much more effective, and it does the same with the turret, because the gun mantlet, even though there's no armor behind it, the gun mantlet is actually 177mm of effective armor, which is very, very good. Very, very good gun mantlet on this tank, but that is extended with spaced armor that now covers the sides. So So you can see that the spaced armor is about 30 millimeters of spaced armor over the regular 63.5 millimeters that the EZ8 turret would have. With that spaced armor, it means that instead of going through 63 millimeters of armor, you've now got to go through at the very, very closest 125, 126 millimeters, and it gets more effective the further out you hit. So this spaced armor makes a huge, huge difference to the turret armor on this particular tank. Much, much better. You can also do a little bit of side scraping as well, even though the side armor is not good because it's American, but you've got 30, or the tracks count as 20 millimeters of spaced armor, and this strip of spaced armor here is also 30 millimeters, so it increases the effective side armor here from 38 millimeters to roughly about 161 millimeters at this angle. So very, very good for side scraping as long as people don't hit the rear of your tank, but it's still okay. So you know, it's fixed one of the big problems American tanks had, in that they have, you know, it's quite difficult to side scrape in an American tank sometimes, especially the lower tiers, because their side armor isn't very good. Well, that's been rectified with extra large tracks that were added to this particular version of the tank, and also spaced armor on the side. So of course it's not all good news. I mean, the armor from the front looks quite good, but you have got two huge weak spots. Hey, it's a premium tank that still comes with weak spots. The turret, the cupola on top, gets anywhere from about 20 millimeters, as you can see at the top of the turret or the cupola, 23 millimeters down to 48, 49, 50 millimeters on the cupola itself. So lower tier tanks are going to be able to pen this cupola with absolutely no problems. You can hit below the gun mantlet into the turret, and the turret ring area here, that's still only the 63 millimeters of armor, so you can shoot below the gun mantlet and between the spaced armor strips here and still pen the turret. If it's not hull down, the machine gun port is still a weak spot from front. It's 80 millimeters thick, and then the lower glacis, as I say, is about 110 millimeters. So if you're in a lower tier tank and you come across one of these things frontally, there are plenty of places you can shoot it, plenty of places you can pen it, as long as you know what you're doing. Now, as with most American tanks, once you get past this additional spaced armor that's been added to the tank, including the tracks, it's down to the regular 50 millimeters in this little area here, but more likely 38 millimeters on the side, and about 68, 70 millimeters on the side of the turret. Rear of the tank, absolutely garbage, so you want to get to the rear of these if you can. Back of the turret is 104, which isn't terrible, but the engine deck is only about 15 millimeters, and the rear of the tank is only 38. So if you're firing HE, this is basically where you want to go. But I've just noticed you've also got a string of, just noticed this strip of spaced armor I didn't notice before. So yes, you do have a little bit of protection around the turret ring with spaced armor on the side and rear, but very, very hard to hit. It would basically, you'd be very, very unlucky to hit this rather than the turret or the side of the tank. So yeah, there's more spaced armor I didn't realize doesn't extend around to the front. But yeah, lots of spaced armor, but lots of weak spots. So I wouldn't call this tank overpowered, but it's definitely much, much better armored than the EZ8, and not quite as well armored as the Sherman Jumbo using the stock turret. And that's pretty much all I knew about this tank when I went into the game. I wasn't sure about its DPM. Couldn't even remember what its penetration was, which is 128 millimeters of penetration. So a little bit on the low side for a penetration wise, and a little bit on the low side for alpha damage. You know, for tier 6 medium tanks, most tier 6 medium tanks have more penetration and more alpha, but it's the 76 millimeter, which is quite rapid firing, which means the DPM should be quite good. And I was expecting maybe for performance, gun performance, very, very similar to the Fury. Mobility, because it's not as heavy as a Sherman Jumbo, but it gets a very, very good engine. So I thought the mobility would be okay, but I was really, really looking to test out this armor. Now, I'm a complete and utter idiot, as, you know, I'm quite willing to admit. And what you may notice from here is the fact I've got 57 rounds of AP, I've got 14 rounds of HE. What am I doing with 14 rounds of HE? I have no idea. I've got no premium ammo, and I've got absolutely no consumables, because this was a brand new tank, and me being me, click play before even checking to see whether or not I had a good crew, whether or not I'd put equipment on it, or whether or not I put consumables in it. And the answer to all of those questions is no. No consumables, no equipment, and I just clicked play. So these don't even auto stock. I had to restock my ammunition after this this game. So this is a completely fresh tank. Me being like an idiot bought the tank. It was sitting in my garage for a month, and then I clicked play one evening and just completely forgot that I needed to set it up. So camouflage is about the only thing that's been upgraded on this tank, and we got into this game here on Erlenberg. I'm top tier, tier 6, brand new tank, no equipment, no consumables, and I decided to go for it. So I spawned very close to this side of the river, this side of the map, and I decided I'm going to do something that I never ever usually do, which is come across this side of the river. I usually push the 1-2 lines, but I'm top tier and I'm in a tank that's supposedly quite well armored, so I'm testing out the tank, and let's see how it goes. So yeah, I have no fears because, as I say, the armor I believe is quite good, even though I hadn't checked it in Tanks GG at this stage. And I thought my turret armor was going to be about 63 millimeters, because that's what the stats said for it in the garage, but the stats didn't take the spaced armor into consideration. So my turret armor is actually a lot better than I was giving it credit for in this game. But you can see that the mobility is not terrible. The speed seems to be about 32 to 34. That Panzer IV-H is completely blind. I have no idea how he hits a tank driving right across the front of him. But yeah, anyway, we move up. And we've spotted our first victim, so we aim, and yeah, okay, accuracy doesn't seem great, aim time doesn't seem great, but we get 2 shots in. And then, yeah, I'm not sure that was a hit or... Oh, okay, that was a bad shot by me. But yeah, rate of fire seems to be okay. We take out the enemy T-34 for our first kill, and I'm testing the tank, and you can see that the speed drops down to 9 kilometers an hour going uphill, so power to weight ratio is definitely not good. It's definitely not good. It's almost Sherman Jumbo standards power to weight ratio, but I'm advancing because I know there are probably enemy tanks in front of me, but I want to test the tank. I figured at this stage I've suddenly realized I have no consumables, I haven't changed my ammo loadout, I have no equipment. So I decide, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Screw the game, I just want to test the tank, and I'm just going forward. Enemy team are capping, but there's an enemy Thunderbolt right in front of us. So I just want to test the tank, want to test the armor. Spotted a T-37. Okay, alright, T-37's down at the bridge, so we stop. Oh, he's aiming at me. And badly angled by me. As I say, I'm playing like a moron. I've realized this tank is not set up. I'm taking hits from all sides. We're not bouncing very much. And there we go. Okay, so side armor sucks. The tracks didn't absorb anything. But really, I just wanted this game to end because I hadn't set the tank up. I don't even know what my crew are like. I think my crew are actually okay, but yeah, okay, I've lost all my health, and the armor just did not seem to work, but I was giving my side to enemy tank, so move up and basically miss that shot. So angled, he bounces, and we're just staying hull down, staying angled, and he's bouncing, and that's exactly what I was expecting from this tank. So I've basically woken the hell up, and I've decided to play properly now. So we're angled, just putting shots into the KV-1. The DPM seems quite nice. He goes for my side and he bounces, so the side seems to be quite good. We take out the KV-1 for kill number 2. Thunderbolt comes across. Gun depression, actually I don't know what the gun depression is on this tank, but I assume it's about 10 degrees. So, okay, put one shot into him, he misses his shot. We bounce on him, or we miss. And look, I'm trying to find weak spots. I'm aiming below his gun mantlet, looking for weak spots. And we bounce and he pens. And that's kind of disappointing, but he's firing premium ammo. And I'm trying to stay angled. But we put another shot below his gun mantlet where the reticule was turning green. And it's, you know, that's when I learned that below the gun mantlet is a weak spot. So he was firing premium ammo at me. He's got me down to 164. I would love to have fired premium ammo at him, but I didn't have any in this tank because I'm an idiot. So we've gotten to kill number 3, we're up to 1100, 1200 damage. There's Artie. I'm not sure if I'm spotted, but he fires and we take him out. So just looking, trying to use my gun depression. I just don't have enough gun depression. I don't really want to poke out because there are enemy tanks capping who will have shots at me, but he thankfully moves back. Like a good little chap, he moves back where my gun depression can hit him. So again, I'm a little bit worried about my turret armor because I didn't realize my turret armor was quite as good as it actually is. But we put another couple of shots his way, he comes back. And once again, turret armor, or my gun depression is letting me down over the front of the tank. But yeah, okay, he bounces on the front of my armor, so there we go. So it is 4 versus 5 right now. Enemy team are capping. I've got 26 seconds to decap. T-67 sitting in the open. We aim as long as we dare, and the cap only reduces by about 10, but we take him out for kill number 6. Okay, Skoda up here, no threat. There's still someone capping. 1 minute 10, it's a KB85. I've been spotted, shot in the move, we bounce, but we're angled, he bounces, and we're going to try and do some side scraping here. So miss my shot in the move. And again, I'm just testing the tank. I'm wondering how good the side armor is. So we're testing, put a shot into the KB85, reduce cap back down to 0. Someone sets him on fire, get another shot in, and Panzer SFL 4C. Dangerous tank, and this is where the low alpha is hurting me, so I'm side scraping, and he is able to pen me. I was over angled, didn't side scrape enough. He was able to pen me. He's got a very, very nasty 88mm gun, so yeah, there is where my game ends. Now, unfortunately, fortunately I was saying, good, now I can go and set up the tank, and I can go put consumables in it, and I can go put equipment on it, and yeah, so game over, and my two teammates here unfortunately don't do anything to win. They're trying, but 3 versus 1 at this moment in time. The Stug is about to be flanked, so these guys could have maybe been a little bit more aggressive. They were both on full health. Nice kill by the Stug. So Stug is down to 2 versus 1, and I'm saying, dude, please don't win this. Because I got 6 kills, I've done about maybe 1800 damage, and I thought, yeah, okay. I can't wait to see this tank when I fully set it up, but unfortunately Stug drives around, doesn't manage to reset the cap, does kill one tank, was about to kill the other, but the game was over. So I figured, okay, let's head back to the garage, set this bad boy up, and test it again. And then this popped up, and I am saying, arse. Are you serious? Oh, come on, this tank's been out for a month, and that's an ace? That's an ace? Really? So yeah, I managed to ace this thing without consumables, without equipment, and playing like a complete and utter moron, because A, I'm rusty, and B, as soon as I realized I'd gone into this game without any of the extras on the tank, I just didn't care. I just drove forward and clicked fire, and I didn't really start taking the game seriously until I was down to like one-hit kill territory. So yeah, somehow we managed to pick up the ace in a brand new flaming tank where I played like crap, but we also picked up Defender, High Caliber, Top Gun. Oh dear. So yeah, even on a defeat, we finished up with 944 XP, which isn't the full XP total because it's a defeat, but we ended up doing 2,600 damage, 6 kills, and that was enough for the ace. Yeah. 38 shots fired, 31, 25 hits. So this is not a review, guys. It really isn't a review, but you could see that the damage, the DPM on the tank is quite good. You could see that the gun was fairly accurate. You could see that the armor, for the most part, worked. We received 18 hits, and 13 of them were bounces. I mean, the armor seems to work quite well. We blocked almost 1,700 damage with our armor, even though we were top tier. We spotted 5, damaged 8, destroyed 6, did 700 assistance damage, and we did 100 base defense points, but it still wasn't enough to win the game because I over-angled at the very, very end. We ended up earning, because I wasn't firing any premium, because I had no premium in the tank, we ended up earning 62,000 credits with a premium account. And yeah, absolute stupidity on my part. It was a defeat, so no ×2, but basically what we would have received was, we would have received 900 and another 500, so that was about a 1,500 XP game before we take the bonus for the premium tank into consideration. So it was about a 1,400 or 1,500 XP game, and I thought it was terrible. I really thought it was terrible, but it's the first ace in the tank, and that means I have to bring it to you, and you do not, you can't understand how bloody upset I was when this ace popped up, because I really was looking forward to upgrading the tank and bringing, you know, a better game and maybe even a win, not a defeat in this tank, because even though I can't blame the tank, I think the tank is quite good. As you could see, even completely pretty much stock for a premium tank, it performed quite well. You know, I've played I think 5 games in the tank now, and I've won 1. I've lost 4 games in this tank, even with it fully upgraded. You know, and I can only blame my own rustiness. I can blame the fact of being away from the game, or the matchmaker, or being bottom tier, having teams that weren't particularly strong, but I've got a 20% win record in this at the moment after 5 games, and I can't blame the tank. I think the tank is actually quite a good premium tank, but I'm going to reserve judgment until I've got 20 or 30 or 40 games played and I've spent an entire day in it, because I can't do a review unless I've spent an entire day in the tank. That's my rule. And but first impressions seem to be quite positive, even though, as I say, I played like a moron and it was a defeat. But anyway, there you go. The VII Thunderbolt 7. Relatively new premium tank into the game, and yeah, if just to simplify it, if you like playing the VII or if you like playing the Sherman Jumbo, this is a tank that sits right in between. You've got the VII's DPM, but slightly better gun handling, and you've got the Sherman Jumbo's armor, but just slightly less, slightly more mobile than a Sherman Jumbo as well. So I think it's quite a good tank. It's a little bit different, it's a little bit unique, and as I say, it's not a review, so I'm not going to say whether or not it's worth it. That would be your call, not mine yet. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.